if the last couple of weeks have taught me anything, I guess it's taught me some of the hardest parts about moving to Bali. A lot of people talking about living and moving and transferring and retiring in Bali. I tell you what, one of the hardest things to deal with and to be prepared for is what happens when something goes wrong, especially at home, or when something goes wrong and you're to yourself and you're over there. It's a long way home. It's a long way if someone gets sick. It's a long way if bigger things happen, if someone dies. It's just a long way to be away from your family and everyone you grew up with and all that sort of stuff. So, tell you what, to live in Bali as a Westerner, as an Aussie, you need to have a good couple of $1,000s sitting in a bank account that you don't touch, that's there for emergency money. It's there to get you on a plane straight away. It's there if someone gets sick. And you know what? Someone could get sick 3 or 4 times before something bad happens. And you just don't know when it's the time to jump on a plane and go and see him. In my case, my sister had been sick for a good while. She battled cancer. She did an incredible job, and eventually it just got the better of her. And I was lucky to get here within minutes of her passing away. It's like she was holding on just long enough to say goodbye. It's tough. But that's what it's all about. So, today, just left the family. Dad's 85th birthday, had a bit of a family get together. And now I'm jumping on the train, going to head down to Sydney. And getting it up on a plane, heading across to New Zealand. All of my stuff, everything that I've accumulated over the last 57 years is in 2 shipping containers in New Zealand, where I've been staying. I've got my vehicles there. I've got just my clothing, my knickknacks, some camera gear, some music stuff, and I've got to go back and sort it all out, because the next hardest thing to deal with about moving to Bali, or moving away a long way away, especially to another country, is you almost can't take anything with you. Yes, you can import stuff. Yes, you can ship luggage and containers and stuff around the world. But I tell you what, the price is unbelievable. I'll give you an idea. I had some quotes done up for me. Now, a square metre, a cubed metre of luggage, of personal effects, clothing and just whatever, to get from Auckland, New Zealand to Bali was about $1,000 for 1 cubic metre. So it's about $3,800. I think that's just New Zealand, or I don't know. It's a lot of money for 4 cubic metres, and that's maybe no furniture, but just like my tools and the stuff that I've used most of my life. You know, the stuff that. One of the reasons I wanted tools is because when we're in Bali, we've been helping the people in the remote villages, and I want to take some power tools over there and help do up some houses and look after people and physically get out there and make a difference in people's lives. And it's going to cost more to bring my good quality power tools over than it's going to cost to buy new ones of a lesser quality in Indonesia. It's a bit of a shame, because then what do I do with all the stuff that I've got left over here? I've got thousands of dollars worth of equipment, $1,000 worth of tools, but if I put it on a fire sale, I'm not going to get $1. Like, seriously, I'm not going to get much at all. So, the real cost of moving overseas is a hell of a lot more than the cost of rent, the cost of food, the cost of your visa. It's the cost of your family. It's a cost of having a wedding that none of my family members, almost none of my family members could manage to make it over to. It's the cost of disposing of my old life or storing it indefinitely. Now I'm married now. I'm living in Indonesia. So what do I do with everything? Now, I can only bring 20 or 30 kilos back on my luggage every time I come back to Australia, but it's actually cheaper. Now, this is the crazy thing. It's cheaper for me to fly back here with Qantas with a 30 kilo luggage limit and take 30 kilos back home with me than it is to ship 30 kilos back home. So I could make half a dozen trips from Bali to Sydney. If I get a good flight over, it's only going to cost me about $800 to get back with luggage. So there you go. I can come and see my family 3 or 4 times a year at the same price as sending all my gear over. But by the time I get it over there, I've got to pay to store it somewhere else. I've got to pay to look after it. Hopefully the rats and the mice or the moisture doesn't get into it. Who knows? It's there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to configure. I love Bali. I love what it's done for me, and I love what I'm doing to give a little back. It's the place I feel that I'm meant to be. And as much as, look, I grew up around this place. I grew up in a beautiful part of the world. The central west of New South Wales is lovely. It's brisk and freezing cold in the winter time and boiling hot in the summertime. And you get that summer and winter and that change of seasons, which is good. But I love that warm weather. I love being able to jump on my bike. I love being able to go for a ride down the street in a pair of shorts. Really, seriously. But I'm going to miss a lot of stuff that I've had to leave behind. And by the end of next week, when I've gone through my containers and worked out the few things I can afford to bring with me, it's going to be tough. It's going to be, what part of my life can I do away with? I'll get to start a whole new one. It's a good thing. But I've got to throw so much away, or I've got to get rid of it. I've got to say goodbye to such a big part of my history, and it's a tough, mentally anguishing, difficult, in some ways exciting too. Like, you know what, it's not always an amazing life. But so guys, I've got so many more vlogs to do about the retiring, and to be honest, one of the reasons I've held back on them is they keep changing the regulations, they keep changing the visas. It really is a logistical nightmare to work out what's the best or the best alternative for you to come here. We're going to even start doing some podcasts where we can sit down with some immigration attorneys or agents or some newly immigrated people with different circumstances and discuss, open discussion about what they've done and their experience. And there's some people that have come over to move to Bali with horrible experiences, and there's some people that have come over have fantastic experiences. So I think it's all relevant. It's important that you understand it for those people who are looking to move over or to spend a long time in Bali. And I'll be honest, I get every single day, I get someone emailing me, texting me, messaging me saying, I want to move over to Bali. I'm moving over to Bali. What do you suggest? My first suggestion to anyone is put everything in storage and come over here for 2 or 3 months. Here, meaning there, Bali. Move over there for 2 or 3 months. Get a long-term accommodation, not in a hotel, not in a tourist resort, in a place where it's more likely you can actually live and put down roots and meet friends and family. My personal suggestion would be move to Sanur or somewhere like that, where you've got a whole network of Aussies and expats from around the world that give you something, a good grounding, a good place to start. Move over there for 3 months. Put everything you've got in storage, rent the house out, whatever. Give yourself a trial run. After a couple of months, you might find that it's not for you. You might find it's better for you, and it gives you time to start looking around. Where should I move? What should I do? For that first couple of months, don't have any rules, don't have any timetable. Just get over there, settle down, understand what you need to know, ask the questions, and after that, think about actually making the big move, because it's going to take immigration attorneys, it's going to take agents, it's going to take shipping, it's going to take a lot. And look, for anyone who's thinking of moving to Indonesia to start working, the simple answer is forget about it. It is nearly impossible for someone from the West to come over there unless you bring special skills with you. It's nearly impossible for you to be able to get a job in Indonesia. You can invest, you can buy a pub, you can build a business, but you're not really allowed to work the business. So if you own a pub or something like that, you're allowed to pay a manager, you're allowed to pay staff, you're allowed to train people how to do their job using your expertise. But the idea is you leave them to go and do that, and you stay on as the investor, not so much the manager. You can make money out of your investment, not a problem at all. But it's designed basically to encourage people to bring employment and resources into Bali, and not for people from outside to come over and exploit or utilise the lack of skills or lack of labour market to their own advantage. Just a little one. Lots more to come. Keep in touch. Please jump on my Facebook page. If you want to make any communication with me, the easiest way, I'm going to put an email address under this so you can shoot me an email and ask me any questions you've got. If you're on my Facebook page and you're coming to Bali, you want to catch up and say g'day, or you want some advice or something, Messenger is probably the easiest way to do it. And yeah, look, mate, leave some comments on the video, because that's how I know what answers, what questions, what vlogs you need me to try and cover. So there we go. I'm just waiting for my train. Hopefully it'll turn up soon, and I'll be on the next trip down the long lines, all the way to Sydney, and then eventually back over the ditch to New Zealand for a bit of time, so I can finish up my bits and pieces over there. See you guys. Have fun.